So I'm Caleb Johnson. Can't see it all the way in the slide, and for my senior project, I fully remodeled my entire bedroom and closet. So this is just a before and after. This is from one of the back corners of my bedroom. So this one on the left is before. You can see it's kind of messy. Nothing really coordinates with the colors at all, and I didn't like it. It felt super disorganized. I felt like my life was kind of going a little crazy, and so I wanted a big change. So I made a big change, and as you can see with the after, the colors match now. Everything's clean and organized, and it just looks like a better living space. So I chose this project. I've always been interested in in-home construction and interior design, things along that type of thing. And I've actually helped my dad and mom some with 5 large remodeling projects. One of them actually this room that we're in right now. And I enjoyed it a lot. I helped with installing hardwood flooring and painting, mostly painting ceilings. Yeah, and another reason I chose this is because I knew that once I finished the project, it would give me my own personal view into some research for my research topic I chose from my paper. And just being flat out honest, I wanted to do a project that benefited me. I know that seems kind of selfish, but I hear lots of projects that are like volunteering for like an animal shelter or something, and I felt selfish because I was like, I want to do something permanent, something that we'd be able to see the results of forever, and I wanted it to benefit myself. So for my research paper, it was actually really hard to come up with something that was related to this project. So I was like, what is something I can argue that's related to remodeling? But what I came to was, so just my main thesis was living a minimalist lifestyle is a poor quality of life. And what minimalism is someone who lives with the absolute bare minimum that they need. There's nothing extra in their household. Like there's no snacks. You eat 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because anything more than that isn't necessary. They almost never spend any money, which led to one of my other main points in my research paper. One of my main points was that minimalism damages the economy. And I talked about the business cycle and how money is invested into the economy, which causes things to roll. The business makes money, is able to buy from their suppliers, and it just continues and goes on and on. But with minimalists, they don't spend the money, and they just keep it and never spend it, which puts so many holes in that upward direction of the business cycle. And then one of my other points I talked about was that children in a family of minimalists, how psychologically they're damaged by the quality of the life, because it's one of the stories I read about a minimalist family. It was a mom and a dad and 3 children that sold their 1,800 square foot house and moved into a 300 square foot house because that was all that was needed. When I see a couple jaws drop, yes, that's absolutely ridiculous. I completely agree that it is beyond ridiculous. And just along the lines like children want a snack every once in a while. But if you don't have that in your house, don't give it to them. They're gonna think, what the heck are my parents doing when they're at a friend's house and they have a 2,000 square foot house, and their friend asks, hey, are you hungry? And you're like, but it's 2:30 in the afternoon. It's not lunch or dinner time. He's like, let's get a snack. And the child sometimes doesn't even know what that is. And it's just, it's not a good way to live at all. Okay, now getting back to the fun part, the actual project. So this project was by far one of the hardest things I have ever done. The minimum requirement for the time requirement for the project was a minimum of 10 hours, and I exceeded that by 70. I had a total of 80 hours put into this project, and that was only my personal hours. That wasn't counting my parents or other people that helped me. But even though it was one of the hardest things, it was one of the best and most valuable things I believe I have ever done. I know that I will remember this experience for a long time and I'll be able to use the skills that I learned for a very long time. And I have to shout out my parents. They helped me so much with this. My dad helped a lot with the construction, and my mom helped a lot with the finishing touches and everything. And I have to shout out Grandma, because there was one time I needed a pencil to mark a piece of hardwood floor, and she was right there with a pencil for me. Okay, so step one, the first day, I had to empty out my room and closet and to do some demolition in the closet. So this was before, and after about 4 hours of work, turned into that. All of that shelving in there was completely removed. We'll come back to this. Okay, so after that demolition, it was time to start installing sheetrock in both my bedroom and closet. So the picture on the far left is, it's hard to tell, but there are lots of little spots of white, and that's where I had to put screws into every piece of sheetrock. And in my research of getting ready for this project, I found that for a 4 foot by 8 foot by 3/8 of an inch piece of sheetrock, which is what we used, it requires about 48 screws for each piece to be completely secure. And we used almost 20 pieces, which means we used almost 1,000 total screws in putting in this sheetrock. And all of those white spots is when we had to put mud in the screw holes. And actually, I have some of the tools right here that I used for the. It's like, this is a 6-inch putty knife. I actually used this for one of the other steps. For the screws, I used the 1-inch putty knife. There's lots of different sizes. I have multiple different ones here. But then for all of the seams in the sheetrock, we had to tape it. That's what you can kind of see in this picture here. So for the tape, using the 6-inch knife, I had to put a layer of mud about 1/8 of an inch thick across the entire seam. And then I had to take this piece of tape that was exactly the length of the seam and press it in so it was completely smooth. Now, don't be deceived by the term tape, because it wasn't sticky. It really was just a piece of paper that was made for this purpose. And I had to do that in every single seam, including the corners in both the bedroom and closet. But what made it really hard for the closet was that, I don't know if you remember from the previous closet picture, but 2 of the walls were concrete. So before I put in the sheetrock, I had to build a wooden frame and attach that into the already existing sheetrock in the closet to build the other 2 walls. So in this picture, it is really difficult to see, but this left picture is a piece of sheetrock that I practiced my texture method on, that I did through the entire room and closet. And then the middle picture is one of the section of 2 walls in the closet before it is dry. That's why it's a bit more of a yellowish color. And on the right, this is the finished dried texture in the bedroom. I wish I had a sample or something closer so you could really see the texture on it. Okay, so after I finished the texture, the next day I was able to start priming and painting. I had usually you wouldn't be required to prime the wall, but because it was a brand new wall, brand new sheetrock that I had put up in texture, I had to prime it, because the primer is made of a different material than the paint. And if I would have just put the paint right on the wall, then the mud that I used for the texture would absorb the paint, and it would make it look spotty and completely distort the color. So I had to prime everything. That's the white in the middle picture. That's my bedroom completely primed. And this picture on the right is me doing the finishing touches of the light gray paint I did in my bedroom. Once painting was done, it was time to do the little stuff that makes it really pretty. So I had the trim that I had to do. I used 1 1/4 inch wide baseboard around the bottom, and the exact same material I did 3/4 of an inch along the top of both the bedroom and the closet. So these are before pictures from 2 different angles. The one on the left is the one you saw before. No, that's the one you haven't seen. The one on the right, this is the one you have seen. Okay, go to the next slide for afters. And that's the after from the exact same spots. Okay, go to the next one. Now, haven't really touched on the closet much, but here's the before, all the way before, and then all the way after in the closet. This is when I put in my new hanging racks, my cool shoe tree that I got, and you can see right here in the closet, I actually put hardwood flooring in it, which gives it a really, really nice modern look to it. Okay. That was my project. Any questions?
What was your favorite part about this project?
Finishing. Doing all of the little extra stuff. Actually, most of the furniture pieces I built. I purchased them and they came in boxes, furniture kits, and I had to build all of them. And building those and putting it into place and watching the entire room really come together was by far the coolest thing. Anything else? Okay. Oh, one more?
How did you choose the color scheme for your room?
I just went on Google and I had an idea. I went and I looked it up and I found pictures that had already existed from that with the color scheme with the gray walls and the white trim was what I was really looking for. And I found a picture that looked really good and I was like, you know what? I like that. It feels right. Okay, thanks.
Good job, Caleb.
Good job.